What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to Sesam Stasjon. And from what I understand, this is a Norwegian children's show. And this is very, very similar to the popular American show called Sesame Street that a lot of us Americans watched growing up as little kids. So today, I want to check out this video all about Sesam Stasjon and see what this Norwegian version is all about. So let's take a look.
On November 10th, 1969, the children's series Sesame Street premiered on PBS in the United States.
Yes.
It became incredibly popular.
Yes.
And soon its influence started to reach beyond America's borders. Over the years, a large number of international co-productions of Sesame Street has been produced.
Really?
This video will focus on just one such co-production, the Norwegian Sesam Stasjon.
Sesam Stasjon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I really didn't know that there were international versions of Sesame Street. Sesame Street is incredibly popular in America, and it's still going on to this day. They're still making Sesame Street. So I'm really curious, was this popular in Norway? Like, did a lot of Norwegian children watch this? I'm really curious how similar or different it is. Like, what? I wonder what you learn about in the Norwegian version of this. Huh. Huh. Okay. The theme song is exactly the same. This sounds like Sesame Street, except with Norwegian words, but the melody is really, really similar. Wow. And the children are on a train. There's not that many trains in America, so that's already different. Like in Norway, they're on a train.
In 1987, the head of programming for the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, NRK, at the time Ada Haug, approached the...
The puppets are a little different. They're very similar, but this puppet looks almost too human. It has hair. A lot of the Sesame Street puppets don't have so realistic hair. I don't know. And he's wearing like human clothing. That's what it is. The puppets look a little, I don't know, a little too human.
Production company for Sesame Street, the Children's Television Workshop, about the possibility of making a Norwegian version of Sesame Street.
Oh my God, look at these characters. Is this like the Norwegian version of Big Bird or something? What is this guy? Is this an animal? I don't think so. This is amazing.
By 1989, an agreement had been made. Ada Haug appointed producers Grete Heien and Herman Gran to head the series, along with writer Eivind Skeie, and told them to make the show as Norwegian as possible.
Make it as Norwegian as possible. That's hilarious. This is very Norwegian. There's just differences everywhere. The puppets are different. The train, the snow. Like here it's winter. Like the puppet is in the snow. Like you don't really see that in the American version. This is a very Norwegian.
Unlike most international versions of Sesame Street, it was decided that the Norwegian show would not be set in a city street, but rather a small train station near an unnamed Norwegian town.
Oh.
This could be mostly to keep the name similar to Sesame Street. The Norwegian word gate would not fit as well into the title as stasjon, the Norwegian word for station.
Stasjon. It means Sesam Station. not Sesam Street. This is a train station. Got it. Okay.
But the change also served to be more inclusive to a larger number of Norwegian children. Norway is quite large geographically, but with a relatively small population scattered over the entire country. So whereas a lot of American kids could recognize their own neighborhood in Sesame Street, most Norwegian kids' neighborhoods looked entirely different.
That is so interesting. Oh, look, there's Big Bird. Did you ever watch Sesame Street? Or was it only Sesam Stasjon, I wonder? Because I know Norwegians, you guys are pretty good at English, so maybe you watch Sesame Street. I don't know. That's such an interesting idea. The concept that in Norway, where you grow up can look really, really different. Whereas in America, most American neighborhoods look pretty similar, like a street or a city, or it's all pretty similar. In Norway, they had to go with the train station to bring some kind of cohesiveness to it.
I myself grew up in Norway's second largest city, and I have never lived anywhere even slightly similar to Sesame Street.
Okay.
So, what could all these Norwegian children recognize? Well, Norway is a very mountainous country with small communities.
Yeah, like look at this. Like this is like a random town in Norway. Like good luck trying to like make a children's show that encapsulates all of this. Or yeah, I can't even imagine growing up somewhere like this. This is crazy.
Popping up in valleys and fjords all over the country. There's roads between these communities, of course, and transport by air and sea. But Norway's extensive railway system, with its 696 tunnels and its 2,760 bridges, is an important part of the country's infrastructure.
Big difference. It's funny because America is so huge, but we don't have a high-speed rail system. Really, we don't have many passenger trains. Like, we just kind of we just all have cars. That's the truth. Like, if you want to travel in the United States, you have to get a car. Or maybe fly, because you can fly. In Norway, you guys got all these trains. That's very cool.
Most communities, even the smaller ones, had a train station. So the idea of Sesam Stasjon was conceived. A train station run by both humans and Muppets. Both NRK and the NSB Railway Company was funded by the Norwegian government. So NSB provided Lørenskog Stasjon in Akershus as the outdoor set for the show's train station.
Wow.
As well as 2 modified EL-10 train engines.
Wow.
The station and train engines were repainted in bright cheerful colors, and a small clock tower was erected on the side of the station.
This is so cool. I love this. Such a beautiful location. A real train station. They repurposed it, colored it. Norwegians must have like pretty fond memories of this train station.
Serving as a lookout post for one of the characters. NSB also painted 2 of their running passenger trains in the Sesam Stasjon colors.
They actually painted the whole train.
To the delight of children who spotted them all over the country.
Wow.
At one point, the whole Sesam Stasjon production crew had to visit New York to observe the production of Sesame Street itself.
Right.
This to adhere to CTW's guidelines that the sets and costumes had to fit in with the styles of the original program.
Okay.
CTW also provided 3 original Muppets for Sesam Stasjon. These would have to be shipped back to New York whenever they needed to be cleaned, because the mechanism used to operate them was confidential. Before production could start...
There's the mechanism to use the puppets was a secret? Oh my god. So the Norwegian Sesam Stasjon was very much related to Sesame Street. It was like the same production company like allowed it to happen, and the Norwegian crew traveled to New York to learn how to do the show. And I had no idea about all that. I had no idea there was a Norwegian children's show like Sesame Street.
On the first series of Sesam Stasjon, the children's television workshop sent puppeteer and puppet maker Kermit Love to Norway in June of 1990 so that he could train the Norwegian puppeteers.
Really?
The 3 original Muppets were Alpha, who runs the station kiosk, Bjarne Betjent, who runs the ticket booth, and Max Mekker.
I remember Alpha and Max. Alpha, Max.
Kiosk, Bjarne.
Bjarne? Bjarne looks really human to me, like almost too human. That's the most human-looking Muppet I've ever seen.
Betjent, who runs the ticket booth, and Max Mekker.
Max. Max really makes me laugh.
The train station mechanic. Alpha was the only female Muppet out of the 3, and played by Hanne Dahle. Alpha liked to read and write, both books and letters to and from her many pen pals from around the globe.
Okay.
Bjarne Betjent was a pink and rather human-looking hand puppet, played by Åsmund Huser. Bjarne was more pessimistic than the other Sesam Stasjon Muppets, and had some irrational fears and worries.
What on earth? This show is pretty interesting. He had some kind of irrational fear that the train station was going to flood?
Max Mekker was the biggest of the characters, being the only walk-around Muppet among the cast, and was played by Geir Børresen. Max, being the mechanic, was naturally good at fixing things.
Yeah.
Mekker Max.
But his size also made him...
What was that? What was that? What was that?
Things.
Max Mekker Max.
But
what was that? What was that? What was that?
His size also made him the muscle of the station, leaving him in charge of loading and unloading luggage and cargo.
Okay.
Rounding out the cast were 2 human characters, Station Master O. Tidemann and Leonora Dorothea Dahl. Station Master O. Tidemann was an older, grandpa-like character and was played by Sverre Holm, who was a famous Norwegian comedic actor, most known for his 14-film stint as bank robber Benny Fransen in the Norwegian Olsenbanden series between 1969 and 1999.
Cool. This show just seems very similar to Sesame Street. It seems great. It seems like Norway did a great job. You got all the puppets and Muppets and actors, and I almost want to watch an episode of this to compare it to Sesame Street and see how similar or different the show is.
Så kommer en politimann inn her og påstår at jeg tyv, og dette her tyvesaker.
Leonora Dorothea Dahl, played by Sissel Ryen, was formerly a world-famous singer, but she settled down at Sesam Stasjon as Tidemann's second-in-command. She still loved to sing and would often initiate musical numbers with the other characters.
Okay, of course. God, I'm very curious. Are there Norwegians out there? Do you remember this? Did you watch this show? I think they said this was in the 90s or...
The show premiered on NRK on the 25th of February 1991 to massive critical success and a large audience.
Wow.
That same year, Ada Haug, the program director who initiated the creation of Sesam Stasjon in 1987, changed position to be in charge of programming for young children, in conjunction with the premiere of Sesam Stasjon.
So this was popular. It sounds like this was very popular in Norway. I've never heard of this before.
She would stay in that position until she retired in 1998. Alongside the original Norwegian train station segments, the show also featured dubbed clips from Sesame Street. Voice actor Harald Mele was responsible for dubbing most of the Norwegian voices for the American characters. Some of the most popular recurring Sesame Street characters were Ernie and Bert, Grover, Cookie Monster, and Kermit the Frog.
No kidding. Wow. I didn't know about that. So in Norway, sometimes they would show clips from Sesame Street. You just dub it into Norwegian. So you guys were watching a little bit of Sesame Street. Did when you were watching this growing up, did you know this was from the American version? Or did you think this was just part of the Norwegian, like, that they made it in Norway? And, because I recognize all these characters with Kermit and Bert and Ernie, and I recognize these.
Kermit Frosk her.
But the animated pinball number count segments also featured regularly.
What is this?
Sesam Stasjon was so popular that in August of 1991, Lørenskog train station was modified once again. This time, changes were made so that visiting kids could walk around inside the station. Kindergarten classes could take train trips to Sesam Stasjon from Oslo, and sometimes they would even be met by actors from the show, Max Mekker, or even full-body walk-around versions of the hand puppet characters.
What? That's amazing. Good for you guys. What? That is so cool. That is so cool for the children. They could actually visit Sesam Station and maybe even meet the actual characters from the show. You could actually visit it in real life. That's amazing.
Hand puppet characters. NRK's original plan was to produce 77 episodes of Sesam Stasjon, but the program proved so successful that they entered into a new contract with CTW that would allow and require them to produce the show until 2001. But the original writer of the show, Eivind Skeie, only had a contract for the first 77 episodes and decided to leave the show after his contract ran out. There would be many different writers to fill his shoes over the course of the next few years.
That's unfortunate to have the writer leave. I wonder if the show if people could tell that it changed when they had to like change the writer.
Some of them famous Norwegian authors like Unni Lindell and Anne B. Ragde.
Det er flere forfattere som skriver om dere fra Sesam Stasjon.
Ja, men så rart da vet du liksom hele tiden hva jeg skal si da.
Over the course
That's a little too meta. The writer wrote themselves into the episode.
of the show, viewership eventually declined, although the show never became outright unpopular.
Wait, what?
Men så rart da vet du liksom hele tiden hva jeg skal si da.
Over the course of the show, viewership eventually declined, although the show never became outright unpopular.
It just became less popular over time? Why? Did the quality go down, or did people just get sick of it?
In an attempt to engage a new batch of young viewers, the show introduced a new original Muppet to the cast.
Oh.
She hatched from an egg that had been left on a train and took the name P. P looked like a red version of Alpha, but was also reminiscent of Elmo in that she was a toddler Muppet.
Okay. Okay. All right.
In 1998, it was decided that Sesam Stasjon had run its course on NRK and would be retired.
1998. So the show only ran for like 7 or 8 years total. Wow. Because I think Sesame Street here in America, I'm pretty sure it's still going. It's been going a very, very, very long time. I don't know if it's still popular, but the Sesam Stasjon was only out for like 8 years.
NRK was still under contract with CTW to produce the series until 2001, but they decided to buy their way out of the contract instead of fulfilling it. The exact amount that had to be paid is unknown, but it was stated in an interview that NRK spent more on getting out of that contract than they saved on not having to produce the remaining episodes. The last new episode aired in the year 2000, but the show continued to air as reruns until 2004, after which NRK lost all remaining rights to show the footage. NRK would later negotiate a deal with Sesame Workshop in 2016, making 4 episodes of Sesam Stasjon available on NRK's web TV platform. But most of the other 239 episodes of the show is completely unavailable, with only...
Whoa! What? That's unfortunate. There's like 200 episodes that nobody can see. No, what? Who owns them? What? It's not even shown, like reruns aren't even on TV? That's too bad.
Only a few having been released on VHS in the 90s, and a Christmas advent calendar show having been released on DVD. The show has never been made available as a full DVD box set, despite the potentially large amount of money NRK and Sesame Workshop could make if they were able to come to a reasonable agreement with each other about such a product.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is easy to sell to people. There are many Norwegians who grew up with Sesam Stasjon in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like nostalgic watching this, even though I never watched this show, you know. I watched a little bit of Sesame Street, but there's something about old children's shows. They really, it's cliche to say, but they really don't make them like this anymore. So this is cool.
Nostalgia is easy to sell to people. There are many Norwegians who grew up with Sesam Stasjon in the 90s, and many of them would now jump at the opportunity of introducing the show to their own children.
Yeah.
But even if just for archival purposes, I think the full run of the show should be made more available. Sesam Stasjon is an important part of Norway's pop cultural history, and it is baffling that such a small part of it is available to us.
Yeah.
But I actually think we have a fair chance of changing that. If we can get this video in front of the right people, at both the Norwegian and the American sides of things, maybe they'll try to work something out. They certainly won't do anything without knowing that there's a demand for it. So please help me get this video seen by as many people as possible. Either by sharing it with friends and on social media, or by liking, commenting and subscribing, which will cause YouTube to recommend the video to more people.
Cool. You know what? I hope a lot of people see this. You know, I'm an American and I saw this, so I think that's great. I love this idea of spreading awareness about this so Norwegians can watch this show again. This video is by Cinder Elf. I'll put a link in the description to this video. So if you want to see this or share it or whatever, because that's a good message there to try to get back Sesam Stasjon back so Norwegians can watch it, and I like that. I liked this whole thing. This was a great, like, kind of recap, explanation of the show. Most Americans, like me, have never heard of this. I didn't know other countries did shows like Sesame Street. This looks like an awesome Norwegian creation that I am guessing a lot of Norwegians have a lot of fond memories of. And yeah, it was cool to see like how different this is to the American version, and learn that this even existed. So I enjoyed this anyway. If you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, especially if you're Norwegian. If you know this show, if you watched this show as a kid, that'd be fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and seeing Norwegian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.